cycle of human perspective.
Welcome to Unbiased and On the Fence. I'm Shane. Thank you all so much for joining on this beautiful day. And I have someone new with us today, first time on the channel, Indigo Light. Alexander, how are you doing today, buddy?
I'm great, Shane. How are you doing?
Oh, wonderful, man. So, yeah, I've been watching a lot of your videos and enjoying what I'm seeing there, just about the event and the shift and Ascension and preparing ourselves and just dealing with this. And this is something we talk about on this channel quite a bit. So I like to definitely have you on to discuss some of what you offer and your perspective on things. And so welcome to the channel, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I'm happy to be here.
So I was watching a video of yours where you were talking about this Lionsgate portal that happened on 8/8 that a lot of people are talking about, and it's going to carry on through, or I guess it carried on through till yesterday.
It's a collective energy. It's the date that I got was the 15th, but I guess that there's still some lingering on, probably a few days after.
Oh, okay. So I've actually noticed, looking retrospect at what you were saying about some of this stuff bubbling to the surface with people, getting angry or people getting defensive and stuff like that. So that's sort of a purging is kind of how I was taking it, the way you're explaining it.
Yeah.
Sort of bringing it to the surface to deal with it.
It's I think I talk about grounding and completion and so on. We've been doing this 5D journey for very, very long. I use the word 5D because that's the common expression. I think a lot of people are obviously tired, myself included, and you want to get to a place where you can start a new chapter. I think that time is now. That's where we have the grounding of the new energy, the completion stages, and I think we're being given the keys to live in 5D with 5D principles. I don't think a lot of people fully have the knowledge or understanding of how to do so. And there's a lot of resistance and anger and anxiety in terms of what do we do now, and letting go of the 3D way of seeing ourselves. I did a webinar yesterday, and I think the most important point of the webinar, which is about navigating the 5D experience, was being able to accept that we're limitless, infinite beings made of light, and this is just what I call a meat suit. It's a 3D meat suit and nothing more. But it's really hard. I feel like a lot of people are really like clinging on by their fingernails to the 3D limitations and the fear. So if I tell them, there's a door, you can walk through it and start a new chapter, it's not they're not as forthcoming as I thought they would be. Okay, and myself included, I'm just saying the energy doesn't see us being as forthcoming as we should be. So there's a lot of clinging on. I've seen it also with career shifts for people. There's leave your job, you don't like it, you're not happy, you're unsatisfied, it doesn't really give you any meaning, go to this new direction, and then immediately people get in the fear of the vacuum between the old job and the new job. That's the fear that doesn't need to be there because you've done all the work. You just need to trust and pursue your own path and see what happens with it. But immediately there is that feeling. It comes from within. Anger is never really directed at other people. It's always comes in like a wave of electricity energy, and you just try to find a release mechanism, and you take it out on anything that's around. Usually it's people. So that's what I've been seeing around as well. I get emails from people that are frustrated. They don't know what's happening. And I think the most important thing is to try to be in the moment, not overload yourself. The minute you're aware that there is this anxiety periods, then you can also stop yourself or be more mindful, because that's what this whole thing is about, is walking around being mindful of yourself, how you affect other people, and try to be as flexible as you can in terms of accepting what's coming next. Like if you're in a relationship and it's not working and you're comfortable but you're not happy and you're clinging, it creates anxiety. The energies are getting more intense every day. The anxiety grows. You know what to do. You know exactly what steps you need to take. You're just resisting. Stop resisting. Go with the flow. You know what's right for you. Don't be comfortable. be uncomfortable for a bit to be comfortable for a very long time afterwards.
I like that, because I do think in a way that, you know, people want things to change, but they're comfortable
Yeah,
in the wrong place. So
yeah,
there's some resistance there because they don't really, they're like, I already got a job. I don't want to move.
exactly.
I'm secure right now. Do I really want to mess that up? But they're unhappy all day long, you know? And it's like, I think that's that inner or that higher aspect of ourselves saying that, look, you need to make a change and you need to start a new chapter. Because it's
Yeah,
really not good to sit there and resonate. And, you know, if you're not happy at your job and you're sitting there unhappy all day, that's really unhelpful. So it would be better to be uncomfortable for a little bit, find your purpose to do what you need to do in life. And then, I mean, I did it, you know what I mean?
yeah,
This
you
is what
did.
I do. I know
Same
this
here.
is my purpose, to bring everyone together for this time that we're in, this special time. And I've never been happier, you know, and my needs have been being met miraculously. I trust that they will, because I know I'm
Yeah,
doing what I'm
exactly.
supposed to
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
So yeah, I think that's great advice, to be uncomfortable for a little bit with
It's
change,
it's
because
not it's not even like it's not even that. It's just you said sometimes about people being uncomfortable with change. I saw years ago a silly cartoon on Facebook. They have these kind of images about somebody, you know, like doing a tantrum that they want change, and then change is here, and they're sitting there and they're like freaking out like a deer in headlights. If you want it, you know, move along with it. Don't, you know, if it's coming along, first of all, it's your endeavor. You have to make it happen. But if it is here and it presents itself to you, don't be comfortable in your job, because you know you're not comfortable enough. If you were, you wouldn't be having this conversation with yourself, you know? So
yeah,
just go the way you need, like you did. You started your channel. I started my thing. People all over the world are starting their own things. You're in a safe place. This is more meaningful to, you know, however many people are subscribing and getting help from this, which is, it's like a session of, you know, enlightenment or whatever you want to call it, instead of, you know, working as whatever 3D jobs we had before. That's not a real thing for me personally.
yeah. I have a confidence that comes from doing what I know is my purpose.
Yeah,
A trust. If I was working a regular job, I think I'd still be struggling. But at the same time, with this, I know I'm taken care of. So I don't even worry
exactly.
about some things that are out of my control. You know, I just trust things are going to get handled, because I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to do as far as, you know, my job with helping other people and things like that. And
Yeah,
things get taken care of miraculously at times. You know, I'm sort of blown away sometimes the way things work out. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't worry about that. It got handled, and I just keep trucking.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah. There is again, I did this webinar yesterday. I'm just trying to get people to be able to navigate 5D with still, without the promise that like they're going to snap their fingers and you're in a magical dimension where you're void of responsibilities. 99% of people need to understand that we still have to live the lives we lived before. We have to drive our kids to school, and we have but we need to do all those things without the headaches and without the hurdles.
Mhm.
So it's very important to live more in the moment and to really release what's out of your control, which is anything beyond the moment. And if you feel like you do enough work on yourself and you're heading in the right path, like you are, like I am, hopefully, it's really important to release everything else, everything beyond the border of your own, you know, personal energy to the universe, and trust that it's got your back because you're in the right place at the right time. And I think that's, for me, it's been the most difficult thing I've ever done, to really release the control factor, because a lot of times we're trying to control our reality because we're afraid of being alone, because we
Mhm.
don't trust in the creator or whatever energies are out there. Over the last 10, 11 years I've been doing this, it's been the most difficult challenge to let go of the reins and just say, you do your thing, I do my thing. I can't do what, you know, what you're supposed to do, because it's too big for me, so I'll just focus on me right now. I think that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I like that too, because it's like it's difficult to let go, but once you do, it's like you feel this
Yeah, relief.
confidence in doing
Yeah,
the right
yeah,
thing. You know,
absolutely. You
and
feel like you can breathe and just like chill in the moment without having to worry about everything that's none of you. Everything you worry about, this is the funny thing. You know this, I guess everybody who's watching knows this. If you're sitting here and you're worrying about, I don't know, 25 things that will happen tomorrow, if you try to envision how to solve them and you write them down, you'll see that all of them turn out in a different way that you would have dealt with. So whatever you did was an exercise in driving yourself crazy instead of just being in the moment. So just, saying to the universe, enjoy, this is your package. We have a partnership. I'll do me, you do you. And hopefully, we'll get to the right place together instead of driving myself crazy, instead of doing something constructive or nice with my kids or whatever.
It's funny you say that. You talk about how difficult it is, but in a way, once you get over that difficulty and let go of it, and it's liberating in a way.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
if you can get over that hump, it's actually liberating. You're like, oh, it's so nice not to have to worry about these things that we've spent years worrying about, and then you realize that, wow, this whole time I didn't need to worry about all of these things that were out of my control, and then we can focus on ourselves and sort of how we experience life, and to keep ourselves in control of our emotions and how we interact with people, and just the things we do have control over, right?
First of all, I think you can breathe, which means it's like when you meditate, you try to take a vacation from the moment, go in your consciousness and be, but you're not being in time, you're being in your own time. The minute you release everything that's not yours, because honestly, it isn't yours. I always like to say that life is a collection of moments. The better quality the specific moment, the better quality your life. If you try to jump 5 moments and not build this one, you're going to mess everything up. It's a relief to be able to breathe, just relax and say, this is yours, this is not mine, and to live your life. And then the quality of the moment is better. You get to be more energetically relaxed, to do things in a better way and not to worry. I think the shift in terms of the 5D consciousness is that right now you're able, as Shane, to walk around in your 3D vessel, the meat suit, but you have the connection to your guidance and to the creator. So you know for the first time that you're not alone. And I think that's been our biggest wound. Because if you look at our history, most things that have been done to our human history are done out of fear. And the fear is that, you're alone. Nobody has your back. It's just you, your physical vessel, floating through the world, competing, the dog-eat-dog way of life, trying to grab onto whatever piece of the cake you can get, and that's it. That's not real. We're never alone. Right now, we know different, so we have somebody, taking the heavy duty stuff off our hands, and we can just be ourselves and try to be as loving and as positive as we can, instead of being frustrated, angry, and scared all the time. I'm referring to finances, politics, everything that's going on around us. If you don't have awareness right now, you live in the States. I'm not going to go into politics. I don't do that. But things are all over the world, actually. Things are very unstable. They look very strange to you. If you don't have any awareness, it can be a very strange, weird experience. If you do have awareness, you'll do this video, you'll close it, and you'll go out and walk in the wilderness with your family, or go for a nice coffee, and that's your scope of things. You're a happy, loving person, which is awesome.
Yeah,
that's
I like
the difference.
That. You don't have to allow that chaos into your world. You can leave it out there. You can observe it, but it doesn't have to become part of your world. And I really enjoy that part of this awareness of what you're talking about here, because that is sort of a 3D mentality to worry about those things when we really have no control over a lot of what we see out there. You know what I mean?
I also think it's the world today, the planet is a 5D energy, so it includes the 3D components, the 1, 2, and 3D. The 3D reality exists next to us, but it doesn't really have anything to do with us. You know what I mean? It's like if you try to visualize you walking down the street, you have your own way of seeing the reality as it is, and it emanates from you and your guidance, and you're not attracting, but the way that your energy is coordinated with yourself and the universe. As you walk down the street, a guy next to you is in 3D, has his own way of seeing things, and he may be walking around worrying about bills, about what's happening in the country, and so on and so forth. Those are two different things. You live on two completely different planes, yet you're walking on the same road, going maybe to the same coffee shop. So you're in a completely different place, but it doesn't seem so in many ways. If you look at the guy, you can see him on your left. Just a weird way of being right now.
It is strange. I mean, we walk around, like you said, in these meat suits, not realizing, many of us not realizing that we're these infinite creator beings with potentials that are just would blow our mind if we could sort of grasp what we're able to do. So how do you see this whole transition unfolding? Do you see it as individual or as a collective, or a little bit of both? Or can you kind of go into how you see the whole ascension process?
I think that everybody makes up a whole. So I'm going to start with the individual element. It's like an atom has there are, I don't know, trillions or billions of atoms within the body. They all have their own consciousness. You can communicate with them. We are to our body what we are to the creator as individuals, to creation, to the universe. It starts as an individual process. I always advise as many people as I can to start working on yourself. If things aren't working, address them. If you're uncomfortable in a situation, maybe you shouldn't be there, because the meaning of life, as complex as it's been presented, is just to be happy. So if you're not happy, try to find a way to be happy. Start working on yourself, elevating your energy. You can't see it, but there is a whole field of energy around you, and it starts changing. Your reality starts changing. It's kinder. You attract better people in terms of your compatibility, and you don't have any negative, kind of interactions with people. And you start also to elevate the people around you. As many people do that as possible, we start to elevate the collective as a whole. So it does start from yourself. The most important thing is to be aware, to be super honest with yourself. There's no point in, lying to ourselves anymore. And at the end of the day, I think that it's really not as complex as we think, the 5D journey. I would say it starts with treating others how you want to be treated. That's it. That kind of moment of thought before you say something, before you do something. What is the repercussion of my effect on the world, and what does it say about me? My spouse asked me a while back, she said to me, do you believe that there's anybody that can do this 5D journey without knowing any of the stuff that's happening? And I said, absolutely. I think there are people out there that are just living their lives from the heart and trying to live through love. They don't go on the internet. They don't watch, my channel, your channel. They don't read websites. They don't know any of this stuff. But they're trying to improve their lives gradually, to be honest with themselves, to release what is no longer right for them, people that are negative, situations that are negative, and they connect to the energy of love. And on the same note, I think that there are people that are in this process that they have all the empirical knowledge about the ascension process, but haven't really connected to love yet. And don't really think, if I say this to Shane, or if I do this to Shane, what does it say about me? And would I like this to be done to me? I thought if everybody in the world was able to take a millisecond just to think that collectively for like 1 minute in the history of our planet, I think our planet would change forever. I really think it's that simple yet complicated. So it starts from the person. On the collective note, again, you have a channel. You have many people that come and they come to your channel for knowledge and for understanding of what's going on in their lives. You're able as one person to help as many people as are out there. I'm trying to do the same thing as well. It starts from us, the collective change we get on our purpose path. Our purpose, 99.9% of the time, is to help others. So by working on yourselves, connecting with the purpose path, you go out there and you put yourself out there in whatever format you want to use, and you help many other people. I think that's how we affect, the situation around us. And those people go and do the same, and so on. That's like, a domino effect in a good way, at least.
That's nice.
That's the way I see things.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. So do you have an idea of how long you think it's going to take, this whole process? Do you think it's going to happen for some differently? Are we all sort of on our own timeline, do you feel like?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's no competition in the ascension. We've been ascending probably the planet has been ascending probably for 30 years. It's my understanding from my guidance that today we are grounding that the 5D reality is here. But and not everybody's ascending at the same pace. If you want to go into densities, some people were born 3D, some people were born 4D, some people were born 4.1. The specifics don't matter, but everybody's on a completely different path with a completely different purpose. There are people that are awakened now. These are like the first wavers that are helping out now. There are, waves of people that will awaken later. How long the process will take, I don't know. 25 to 50 years as a collective awakening, maybe more. But that means the entire planet. For you, for me, for whoever's watching, that's really doing the work, your 5D reality is here now. You don't need to sit and wait. For the rest of the world to change, I don't believe in expectation. And I don't believe in predictions and numbers. I don't do any of that stuff, because every prediction I've seen made since, I started this journey in 2009 has been wrong. So I think that, we had the whole 2012 Enigma. You remember this, I'm sure. And we thought it was the end, and people were talking and so on. And then it was another 6-7 years, and we're here now. So again, to try to ascend ourselves and change our reality. For all intents and purposes, you and I are in 5D now. And whoever else is watching, millions and millions of people out there. Is it going to be everybody? No. But if something is very 3D is going on, like a war, like some, weird stuff in the governmental arena or in the business arena, you can choose to have it affect you or not. If you choose not to have it affect you, it doesn't exist, So for all intents and purposes, you are in 5D. The whole planetary ascension is a long journey. But I mentioned one thing in the webinar yesterday, which I really want to stress. We have devolved from 5D from the days of Lemuria and Atlantis to today. And today we're reascending. We're talking about tens of thousands of years. During those years, we had incarnated, we had karma, we did negative things to other people, to ourselves. We are clearing all that stuff up in the last 10 years or so. That's a huge feat. I don't think many people understand that, how much credit they need to give themselves. Because the incarnation of yourself and myself today is, for most people, it's people that were incarnated in the days of Atlantis a long time ago. And it's replaying itself. The karma is heavy. And all the situations you'll be dealing with through your life, they are very old situations, old karmic situations. You're clearing up all the baggage preceding to be able to live free from, these days, actually, as we ground onwards. That's an amazing journey. It's a long journey. And it's been condensed by your guidance in 10, maybe 20 years, in some cases, process. So I don't think the idea of time is really relevant at this point. I think people will awaken in their own pace. People that are awakened now can start living by 5D principles as of now, if they wish. If they're resisting, they're resisting. And the rest of humanity has a choice. That's the beauty of the universe. You can choose.
And really, we're helping
out go ahead.
We're really helping out the whole by taking care of ourselves, though. Really,
exactly. Absolutely.
The quicker we develop ourselves and are able to live in the 5D, the more we're going to help the collective, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing.
It really starts. I'm trying to. My whole thing is about being authentic and trying to keep this journey simple. I don't want to make it a lot of hoopla, there's a lot of abstract stuff and definitions, and I don't want to do any of that, because I understand people need to live their lives. After this, I'm going to close the screen. I have sessions, and later on I have to go to the supermarket. I have to get in my car, start to go. I have stuff to do like everyone else. It's not a glamorous life for any of us. We have to do all of these things without the headaches that we would get in the past. Fighting with people, getting in accidents or whatever, just during our daily lives. We're just trying to navigate better without the headaches. I think that's it. And so I really want to keep it, down to earth in terms of the journey. And it really, 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 really starts with yourself. That's all. You can try to find people to emulate outwards. You can try to find people who have the answers, and try to seek them out and hang on every word they say, which is the wrong thing to do. Or you can try to find the leader and the God and the infinity within yourself. Because if you listen to your guidance, they know everything right for you. No one else can give you the same quality of information that they can. And this is yours. It's not mine, and it's not someone else's. So it really, all I'm trying to say is it really, 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 I'm trying through everything that I'm doing to bring the ball back in the court of the person, not to be afraid and to start seeing themselves as the way they really are, which is a immense, shield of light beyond this physical body with the hands and the feet and so on. And once you make that shift, you'll start to understand really what you are. You're not Shane, I'm not Alex. We're here right now because, this is the medium in the physical reality that we live in. Beyond that, we're probably chilling somewhere else as two huge beings of lights and without any limitations. I really, really would like, by the end of the time that I'm doing this, for people to be able to see themselves as that and not this. That's what I'm trying to say.
So really, the ascension process is sort of letting all this fall away and becoming those greater aspects of ourselves.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yeah. There is a density overlap. Mm-hmm. And basically, all our lives have been in 3D. 3D is like, a lot of the animals that are around us are aware, but a lot of them are not as well. They have souls, regardless. Some people embody animals as well for karmic purposes. We were just basically on a survival mode, like a lot of the fauna and the flora of the planet. We had absolutely no awareness of ourselves. Right now, the 5D experience beyond the fourth dimension is the dimension of karma and of time. We're beyond those concepts now. You can walk around in your body. Your body is not exactly the same. It's more made of light, but still, you know, it resonates with you in the same way as you did before. You have to walk and sit and sleep. But with the fifth dimensional awareness, you have a total recall of yourself. You have a connection to your consciousness and to your guidance. And when you walk out of, you know, when you finish this interview and you go on about your life, you walk around and you realize that you are connected to your guidance and the Creator. That's a great gift. So that we're not the same people anymore. And it really starts with the necessity to see ourselves as kind of our physical bodies and our etheric bodies connected by a string, and we walk around with that wherever we go. And that body has the answer, and we are just a physical manifestation of it. And this is where we're at today. And you understand that, you see life differently than maybe you did 10 years ago. So everything has really shifted in an amazing way, and we're not victims anymore. We're not victims of the 3D fear. We're not subjected to anything unless we want to be subjected to things. We can really, you know, if we connect from the heart, we can really be whatever and however we want.
I get that. So that's probably why we're seeing more. A lot of us are seeing more synchronicities with like you'll see repeating numbers, or you'll run into people that's like, why did I run into that person, or why did this happen? And things seem to work out in synchronistic ways, and or you'll find information to come across that you were just wondering about, or just strange stuff. You know, that's like it makes it all seem fake in a way. Sometimes it's like, you know, it seems like a dream. You know, sometimes things work such ways that, you know, it makes it almost seem like everything's orchestrated. You know what I'm saying? From the higher realms. So,
in regards to that, I made a video a while back. It was called "You Are All Channelers," and the title got a lot of people. Some people I got a little bit of backlash for that, but I meant it anyways. I think that as we awaken and as we walk around with the spiritual and the physical self, we are channeling all the time. Everything, a lot of our thoughts are not, they're our own, but they come from above, from our higher selves and our soul. And we are connected to that energy all the time. The synchronicities is something many people ask. They try to understand the meaning behind the synchronicities. My understanding is very simple. Your guidance is trying to communicate with you, and this is the way it can communicate with you, because you're not channeling openly. Eventually, you will start channeling openly. It's important to check your trail of thought before the synchronicity appeared. Like if I want to do something new and I'm worrying, and that whole day I see 222, 111, 444, 555. That's just my guidance telling me in whatever way I can understand that I'm on the right path. Just keep on doing it, because that's a language that I understood that they speak. Once you start channeling, you just meditate and you say, okay, where do you want to guide me? Just tell me what you need. The same with people. I think everything is not a channeling effort, it's a communication effort for the universe to tell you that you're on the right path. And in terms of being lightheaded or so on, we are now kind of in a hazy place between dimensions. What I mean is we're living in 5D, but 5D is much lighter. So sometimes you feel like you're kind of oscillating between different places. Like you can, you know, I've mentioned this in the last few videos actually. That you can, because I live next to a very beautiful place with the lake and so on, with the river. So I walk sometimes down and I look at it and I feel like if I just close my eyes, I'm not there. But in physicality, I am. But it's become apparent on a different level. Like if I close my eyes, my body remains standing in front of a body of water, whereas my consciousness is anywhere I want to be and everywhere all at once. There's no time. There's no nothing. And that's a weird way of beings. Like, you know, there are a lot of weird things. You drive and you lose the 10 minutes of the drive. They weren't there. You try to understand how that happened. You leave the house at a certain way. You're going to be late somewhere and you arrive early. How that happened, I don't know. These kinds of things. I think it's just part of the fifth dimensional energy, because it's not physical anymore. We're doing physical things we've done before, like brushing our teeth, driving our cars, but they're not done in a certain way, in the same way. That's why we're oscillating back and forth, and it's quite weird. A lot of times you can feel dizzy, lightheaded, a bit lost. Especially this period, the month of August and July have been very, destabilizing in many ways, but in a good way as well.
That's funny you mentioned that the lightheaded and the dizziness, because I've had a few episodes just within the last week where I was like, what the heck? And I even
Yeah,
wondered, I'm like, am I having some kind of health issue? You know, and I was like, why am I feeling so dizzy or whatever? But, you know, it went away after a few minutes and, or a few seconds actually. It didn't last very long. But a lot of times I'll get the ringing in the ears. I've had the ringing in the
yeah,
ears and then
yeah,
looked at the clock and see a synchronistic time. So it's like, were they connected? You know,
yeah. They were.
and it's almost that every time I say synchronistic or synchronicity, I'll look at the time and I'll notice something. Like now, I just
Yeah,
noticed
absolutely.
there's 123 people watching right now. So I saw one, two,
Yeah,
three. So that you know, sort of that synchronistic number of it counting up, you know, grabbed my attention as I was talking about synchronicity. So it's so funny that it happens a lot. Or I'll be watching a video and somebody bring it up, and I'll look down. It's 11:11 on the clock, and you know,
yeah. 11:11.
how did I start that video at the precise time for when the person mentioned synchronicity? I look at the clock and it's 11:11 or a time like that. You know, it just seems impossible, but it happens so much, you know?
Yeah, increasingly, yeah. The last few months are crazy. It's a constant thing. It's just a way of communicating with each other and with their guidance, I think. But it's nice because it's very tangible. So as there are movies made about it. There's a movie called 2222 or something like that. People can't deny it so much. There are a lot of people that are awakening and they're like, ah, this is nonsense. I don't want to take part in this. They keep on seeing the numbers. They meet people. They think about them. They meet them afterwards or before, and it happens at such a frequency that you start feeling compelled to go on the internet and googling stuff, or you're losing your mind, which you're not.
Right.
So I think it's cool. I think it's cool. I don't want to say it's fun, but it's a nice physical feedback for our journeys, and we all have it, which is even more awesome.
Yeah, I find it to be pretty exciting myself because
Yeah.
it lets us know that things are indeed changing. Even this conversation we're having would have been more taboo 10 years ago to
Oh yeah,
discuss things like this. People would have thought, man,
definitely.
these guys are crazy seeing the time on the
I know.
clock. What are they
Yeah.
talking about? But now more and more people are seeing it. And I think we're definitely moving into something that's much better, much grander than where we've been. So that's
Yeah, things
nice.
have changed overall. You see the numbers on people that are joining the websites and so on. It's immense. There are a lot of also new like people that are awakening now, and they come just with the symptoms, and they just want to know if they're alone and if they're losing their minds. And their answer is no and no. You're great, and you're not alone. You have millions of people out there. And the other cool thing is the diversity. I do sessions and so on. It's very cool to see people from all over the world. And when I say all over the world, I mean all over the world. And sometimes people that are in places that you never thought that people would be awakening, and they're like the only person in their little town or their village, but they are, and that's awesome and inspiring and mind blowing, and I find it incredibly cool as well. So we are all. I think the numbers really are increasing, and if you look at the stuff that's going on in the world as well, you can see that there is a collapse of the old reality, and the new reality is known to us, and we understand because we're creating it. But for the rest of the world, there's a vacuum, and it's an element of fear as well. It's a cool time to be alive. I'll say that for
Yeah,
sure.
definitely, man. Yeah, I'm totally honored to be a part of it and to have everybody chiming in the chat and saying that, oh my gosh, I'm dealing with that too, and so yeah, because many of us that's why we've come together like this in the chat and we enjoy this time together because
Yeah,
many of us in our real life, people think either we're crazy or
yeah, yeah,
they're
yeah, yeah.
just not awake
Absolutely.
yet.
Yeah,
So it
it's
helps.
it's a personal process. It's a thing that many people connect through the internet. My guidance told me years ago that the internet is misused in many ways, and well, we can agree on that. But it's like a representation of the universe because it doesn't have, apart from service, it doesn't really have a physical place, but it's everywhere all at once, and it connects us. Like if
Ah,
I go and I have an email account, I have my presence online. Let's say if I have my consciousness and it connects all of us together. And you get many people that only connect through the internet, and they say, in my life, I'm very alone. People think I'm losing my mind or I'm crazy. I keep this to myself, and I have to move away from people because I don't resonate with anybody. But I try to keep around because I don't want anybody to really know what is going on with me. And the only solace I found is going on the internet to channels like yours, like mine, websites where they read articles to keep their sanity.
yeah.
It's unfortunate that the world is like still not awakened to its full potential, but at least we have the internet to keep us together, which is awesome.
Oh yeah, man, I totally agree, because it has been really a godsend for so many people to do a little research. I mean, I imagine this happening 30 years ago. I know it
No.
started 30 years ago, like you were saying, but man, if no
Yeah.
one was able to sort of connect, and many people would think they were going mad. I know a lot of elderly people would think they're losing their mind, probably, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been really nice for us to be able to come together like this. And so do you think sort of seeing these synchronicities and stuff are a predecessor to maybe being able to channel and do things like this in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. I try to connect as many people, because during sessions and so on, to channeling, not in terms of initiation, but to try to do it on their own, because I think it's my understanding we channel always since the day that we're born, especially kids. The little kids, they're like an open channel, and they close the channel at around the age of 7, when they start being too aware or affected by the world, because the world is not has not been a great place, a very welcoming place so far. I think everyone channels, including animals in many cases. It's just a connection to yourself, and I think it's not more complicated than meditating, going into your heart chakra, and trying to ask your guidance to convey something. And if done in the proper manner a few times on your own, you'll be able to get something back. If it's shapes, colors, words, there is synchronicities are just messages. If you need them at that time, and there's no other way to deliver them. What you can do is simply, your guidance is there. If you're sitting in front of your computer right now, and you say, "Hey, guidance, what's up? How are you doing? I want to know what to do tomorrow in this situation." They're aware of you saying that, so you can just ask your guidance to give you an answer to a question. Usually, it's better to ask in a way that is tangible to you and that you will understand, because they may be in too abstract a way and you don't get it immediately. They have no interest in delaying your process. If you become aware of them, you are aware of them. If you try to communicate, they will try to make it as easy as possible. So you say, "Please, I want to know if I should stay in my job or start a new job. Can you please send me a concrete, understandable sign as to what I should do? Since our channels of communication are not fully open yet." Obviously, it will happen. I really don't see a reason why not. It's part of the byproducts of ascension. There are a lot of physical things that happen to our bodies, a lot of abilities and so on that are being revived. I don't think they should be the main focus. They are just byproducts. And the same thing with channeling. Channeling is, I wanted to mention, when I started studying with my teacher, and because you mentioned 30 years ago, there was no internet as it is today. There was the mystic arts, and they existed in layers, and there were big books, and it was confined to a few people who had metaphysical abilities and so on. They made a big hoopla of it, and the same with channeling. It was mediumship. It was reserved for a few chosen people by whatever entities up there. Today, you just go online, you write Ascension, you find I don't know how many people. All the knowledge is online, which is really cool. When I started my journey, I would go and find, there was this website, I think it was Sacred Text or something like that. And it was somebody who had compiled all of the old sacred texts from hundreds of years ago, if not more, into the internet. So you were just walking, just sitting in front of a screen, clicking. All I'm trying to say is things are super easy today, as well as the understanding that all these things are not reserved to select individuals. They are things that every single person does, whether they like it or not. And sometimes your inner voice, like you meet someone and it doesn't feel right, your intuition, that's your soul and your higher self just saying no. And when you meet someone and you connect, that's your soul and your higher self saying yes, go for it, do your thing. That's all. It's really simple. I mean, so for me, everyone does it, and everyone will do it more consciously, increasingly with time, for sure.
That's really neat that you said that, because it was about a year ago when I started to really awaken that I realized that when it came to your intuition, like if you have a feeling, don't go here, or to do this, the only time I really regretted it was not following it. I didn't have any regrets. There was times where I followed my intuition and nothing happened, but I don't know that something bad wouldn't have happened if I hadn't followed it. But there's times when I'm like, I knew I shouldn't have gone there, or I knew I shouldn't have done that, and I did it anyway, and then you regret it. So I always say to trust that inner guidance, because it's never let me down. It's always been right. I only regret not following my intuition, never following it though,
I think I think this whole journey, if you want to sum up 5D, Ascension, all this stuff into a word, it's self-empowerment. I think by the end of the journey, you have, you're like, I don't know, you have all the tools built in. You don't need anybody to tell you what to do. You don't need anybody to tell you how to do things. All you're getting right now, if you're going to the, the people that are trying to be as objective as they can, is a bit of tools, a bit of tweaks, and sent on your way. So your intuition is the only thing you should listen to. The point is to be able to listen to your intuition without fear, ego, subconscious, and willpower, and all these things. That's the proper way to channel, and it takes a slight amount of practice. That's not a huge deal. But I always understood that the first intuition is the right one, and then the ego starts kicking in and saying, "Oh, maybe you should do this," and you shouldn't. Just trust your first intuition every single time. In the best case, you get your direction properly, and you most probably will. In the worst case, you'll get there a bit later. That's it. I don't think there's any repercussions, especially now that we've done all the work and we closed the karmas and so on.
Yeah.
So yeah, your gut is the answer. Your heart chakra and your gut.
That's funny you said that,
sum it
because
up like that.
yeah, I've had times where, like, maybe when I was younger, a car, and you had this feeling like, don't buy the car. And then you start rationalizing. You're like, well, it looks good. It's got low miles on it. It'll be okay. And then it like breaks down a week later because you bought it anyway or whatever. And you're like, man, I knew I shouldn't have bought it. So yeah, the ego comes in, or the brain, the left brain sort of starts coming in and analyzing, well, it'll be okay. Just go ahead and do it. And I always think of the angel and the demon on the shoulder analogy.
Exactly,
because, it's like the one side's, battling the other, and it's sort of learning to listen to the good side or the positive intuition.
Well, don't you find it easier for yourself today if you go buy a car to just look at it and say no or say yes?
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like there's less noise in the head. You just like, no, and you just move on. Or yes, definitely this one. Or whatever, he's choosing a house, whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a bit more concise. Before, the ego had a whole pros and cons list. It would read it to you, try to make sure that you're on its side. And of course, you buy the car, it breaks down a week later. So yeah.
A lot of that's
Definitely.
experience too, learning from not listening to it in the past. So that's real helpful to sort of have those failures, just so in the future that you can realize, don't go against it again,
I think at this point, we're just trying to, we've done the failure so many times, or the mistakes that we've learned. And I think the whole point is just not to do them anymore, because we don't need them to learn. Just listen to your heart, and that's all. Whoever is watching any of the channels on the internet, YouTube and whatnot, is just really to trust your gut in terms of 99% of decisions, and to be aware that the minute after you trust your gut, probably some element will come and try to tell you, no, please listen to me. There are other things you should consider. Don't. Just stick to the first one is the one that's completely, as your channel is called, unbiased.
Right.
And everything else starts to be more subjective, more fearful as the time goes on. So just, try to be as impromptu as possible in terms of your decisions.
Yeah, I like that, definitely. So you actually have a book. We got, let's see, we got a little over 15 minutes left. Do you want to sort of summarize your book and for people that might be interested in?
I wanted to, basically, I started writing the book. I wrote it over a couple of months. It was a quick endeavor. In 2011, because I was a bit stuck in my life. Actually, I was very stuck, and it was like a download of energy that my guidance asked me to do. I sat down, I got it out of my system, and I published it lately. It stayed on the shelf for many years. The reason why is because I was able to commit fully to what I'm doing now and to take it as a full-time endeavor. Before, I was always trying to still live in the 3D world, in the business world and so on. I relinquished all that because it doesn't serve me. The book was a simple account of my journey, and I tried to make it really, really, really uncensored and authentic. So I really put everything in there, and I said, whatever happens next is no longer mine, because, I get a lot of people come forward, emails, sessions, and so on. And I always try to explain to them that at this time, they were shifting purpose. So if you're doing a 3D job, you should be looking at how to shift your purpose in a different direction. All your experiences, all the pain you felt, all the downfalls and the ways you've picked yourself up, these are lessons that you should transcribe and share with others. They're not yours, and they're not in vain. So I really tried to be as forthcoming as I could, and I put everything in there. In terms of substance abuse, a lot of things. a lot of the indigo, the book is called Confessions of an Indigo Child. A lot of the indigo mindset, even though I don't want to use that word anymore, it was just a word that was convenient then. It was trying to qualify certain energy. People that are awakening or have awakened, there's a very common story of being born in circumstances that you don't resonate with, being born in a family that you don't resonate with from a very early age, being very angry at the surroundings, not resonating with adults, not giving them the respect that they think that they need, because you see that their actions are driven through ego and fear from a very early age, and growing up kind of disenchanted with the world, angry. There's a decent amount of people that I talk to that go into, substance abuse just out of pure anger and loss, because they can't. The world, the way we've been living, doesn't make sense. So my book takes this journey, and then the downfall, and then the rebuilding. How I met my teacher. I asked my guidance for a teacher a long time ago. They sent me a teacher through, kind of interesting means, and how I started studying all the modalities that I wanted to learn and set out on my own, and started to explore. And I think the most interesting part is after I start to explore, in terms of meditating, working on my own new modalities, trying to help people and communicating with all sorts of energies from out there, whether it be the Arcturians, the Elohim, a lot of different accounts. I just wanted to put my journey from A to Z, because I know that there are many people that are having the exact same journey, even though the circumstances might be slightly different. And to see that you're not crazy, you're not alone. There is a pattern. We all have the same pattern. We have the catalyst to awakening, the downfall, the awakening, the rebuilding, and then the purpose path. It's the same pattern for everyone that I've met over the last decade.
It's the hero's journey, really.
Yeah, exactly.
It's amazing. Yeah.
And right now we're all trying to start living in 5D and get on our purpose path. So if you can see how someone got himself in a jam, got himself out of a jam, started to acquire tools, and start to rebuild his life, first of all, you can know, if you don't already know, that you can do it as well, and you can have some of the headaches removed from the journey just by understanding that. I ended my downfall journey by a near-death experience, and after that, I found myself in the hospital, and I started laughing, because I really understood that whatever I was doing before is done. If I keep on doing it, we're not going in a good direction. I came home, I locked myself in my house for 5 months. I started reading whatever there was about whatever the world really is, because I felt like whatever I'd been doing now was just a simulation of nonsense and fear and anger. And I felt like there's another world superposed, and I need to at least give it a try to discover it. And eventually I got to the angels and all this stuff. I don't know if I really believed in it then. I asked for the Archangel Michael openly to send me a teacher that could cover the modalities of healing, Reiki, channeling, and so on. I let it go. And a couple of weeks later, on my birthday, I met an older woman on the train. She was walking up and down. She sat in front of me with an indigo shawl, dressed in white, sparkling blue eyes. She put down a piece of paper. I was very tired, so I was like kind of nodding off a bit with my music. And she put a piece of paper. She started writing, "Dear Archangel Michael." She was doing an automatic writing of some sorts. And I knew what she was doing, so I was brash. And after she was done, I asked her, "Are you here for me?" Something along those lines. And she said, "I suppose that I am." She gave me her card. She taught exactly what I wanted to learn. I went to her center, and I spent about 1.5 years there. And then I ventured out on my own, with my own tools, and I started exploring consciousness, communicating with whatever's out there, in terms of our, cousins from other places, the creator, and so on and so forth. And at the end of the journey, when I was stuck, I decided that all this had to be in a book, so it's not mine and it's not in vain. And I just want to mention that on the exploring stage, I spent an innumerable amount of nights meditating and going on these crazy voyages, writing down crazy information, and then waking up the next day, walking out of my house and having to face the 3D world. And I thought I was losing my mind, because I lived in around the Mediterranean and the Middle East in those years. The reality was harsh. It was hot always. There's a lot of stress and chaos, and that had nothing to do with my amazing voyages with creation and so on. So I thought I was losing my mind, and I wanted to transcribe that. To put that also in the book. That there was a huge dissonance between the etheric and the physical, and I feel like today there is much less. And this is why I'm so happy to be doing this, because at the end of the day, I started a YouTube channel and so on, 6-7 months ago, and I said, you know what, Alex, I said to myself, you're being a bit hypocritical, trying to live a 3D life and having a business and so on. This is what you are. This is what you do. You cannot run away from it. Now, add some meaning to your life and try to help other people. And once you do, you will see that it's infinitely more rewarding and real than anything you've ever done before combined. So I just started doing my thing, and here we are. So the purpose of the book is really to help people through the journey and to try to understand and not to repeat the mistakes that I made as well, hopefully, along the way. It's been rewarding, and there's an audiobook available if people want to hear a different format. It's on the website. Otherwise, the book is on Amazon. It's called Confessions of an Indigo Child, an in-depth look to awaken your infinity. An in-depth guide to your infinity, sorry.
I do have, I have a link to your, for those jumping in late, I have a link to your YouTube channel in the description box below, as well as your website, indigolightLove.com, and then your Facebook page as well. But on your website, they can find links to the book and everything from there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There is a books tab as well in every, on the YouTube, there is as well in the About tab, and there's a Goodreads page, and Amazon, there's an Author Central page. There are multiple places. Usually every time I make a video, regardless, in the description, there are all the links. And I also copy pasted in the first comment just to make things easy, because I'm not very tech savvy myself, so I try to make things as easy as possible. So yeah, it's been an exciting journey in terms of this, especially the last few months. But this is one thing I wanted to mention, is in regards to purpose, because I watched a video on YouTube unrelated. There is a guy, he's like a motivational speaker called Aubrey Marcus. He does some things related to sports, because I like athletics and so on. And he said basically that he doesn't believe in failure. He just understood himself, and it dawned on me that specific quote. I said, this is good. This is a relevant quote, and this is relevant understanding. There is no failure in life. There is a repeated amount of failure. And that is only the absence of your purpose, because once you get on your purpose path, guess what? Things start flowing. And that's exactly what happened for me. So I just started to do this, and things have been moving by themselves. And I'm very thankful that it helps people and it adds meaning. I'm sure you know this from personal experience. Whatever we're doing before is like a far a shadow in the past, and it has no relevance to us today, because this is a new journey, and it's awesome in many, many ways.
Yeah, I think I heard a quote once that reminds me of what you were just saying, that said something like, my failures were stepping stones to my success, or something like that. And that's so true, because, it takes us realizing, especially a lot of us truth seekers, because, we were always sort of rebellious a little bit to the system. And it takes us, going against the grain a little bit to find our comfort in doing what we feel is in our heart to do, and to operate from the heart and our real purpose and everything. Now you do a webinar. What kind of stuff do you do in your webinar?
Okay. I had the webinar yesterday. Actually, it's going to be a series of 4 to 5 webinars. Sorry, the table is moving. It's called Navigating the 5D Experience. What I want to do is to be able to provide. I mentioned a few times during the interview how we live our lives, because we all need to do that anyways. The understanding and the explanation, because I've encountered a lot of people that don't really know why we're ascending or what 5D really means. They know the term. So I really wanted to go back and talk about what it is, why we're doing this, what we've been through. And I'm going to keep on doing, I have another 4 webinars to go approximately, explaining what the 5D experience is and how to navigate it, with specific visualization tools to live our lives, how to cooperate with our guidance, how to cooperate with the universe, how to deal with certain situations. And I will try to, the last webinar, I would really like it to be, call it a day in 5D. The moment you wake up until the moment you go to sleep, what do you do, and how do you deal with situations? How do you manage your energy? How do you deal with people? And how do you cooperate with your guidance? Because there are specific modalities and tools that I've learned over the last 10 years. And I find that they really help in terms of shifting your energy. At this point, every thought and everything that we do and that we say has a weight in the etheric. So if I'm sitting and I'm being super negative or I'm being super fearful, that's going to create something negative. So it's really to be mindful of that and try to create and shift with the light, your guidance, the creator and your higher self and your soul, different energies, different tools, tweaks to your reality on a constant basis. And also when you find yourself going in a negative tangent, the ability to reprogram yourself as a person and shift it. If you're used to worrying about your job, you go to your job every day and you worry, am I going to lose my job? Or I don't know, something along those lines. The ability to switch that energy, the 90-degree turn, instead of, because if you let it carry you on, the 5D reality carries and magnifies it. And that's a problem for you. So it's really important to have all those tools. I think it's very important at this time, because of the completion, because of the gateway and the grounding, how we're going to live our lives now and what we're going to do, and how to deal with situations now as opposed to how we dealt with them before. So that's why I was compelled to do this. And there's going to be a webinar. The next chapter is going to be on the 22nd. And I guess weekly webinars for that and other things as well afterwards. But we had the first one yesterday of the series, and it was very rewarding. And the feedback was very good as well. Just wanted to know that it helped people and they were able to take some tools out of it to help their lives as soon as the webinar was open for all matters.
It's very nice. So if someone comes in later, they're able to go back and catch up with the first one. Is it recorded or something?
Yes, there is a recording, and at some point it will be made available, I guess on the website, or we'll find which is the format that is the best one to make it available at. Definitely, because it is, you have to start from beginning to the end. The one yesterday was covering the what and the why and where we have been, where we are going, where we're today, and then our partnership with the universe in terms of starting to create. Because as I mentioned during the interview, the necessity to release to the universe what's not yours and to live in the moment. These kinds of tools, I really don't want them to be kept on paper. I just want it's to the awareness. Like if in 10 minutes from now you have a thought and it's something in the future that you're agonizing about, it's the necessity to remind ourselves all the time that we can control it, to reprogram ourselves. It's like a cognitive behavior change, basically. And basically, now I'm going to stay in the moment. Universe, I release this to you. And it's not going to happen immediately, but over time you learn to trust in the process and you see the results, just like the synchronicities. And there is a tit for tat from the universe. You learn your partnership and you learn to create actively. So that's why there is the webinar. I'll be offering workshops, personal workshops as well very soon. And I've decided also to make courses, just videos available for download covering different things on the website so that people can download and learn at their own pace and their own time. They can rewatch it as many times as they want.
Very nice. You also mentioned earlier that you do sessions. Do you still do sessions, or is that something you did in the past? And what is a session that you offer like?
Okay. I've been doing sessions for about 10, 11 years, but I was never doing them full time. I was doing them, from word of mouth, basically. Now I'm doing this full time. This is my life and my meaning. Part of it is to help people on a one-to-one basis in more in depth. At the moment, I have a few formats. The two main ones that I use are a discussion and channeling, which is basically understanding. I try to listen to the person and understand what the pattern and the problem is to address an explanation of how to shift it with what I call homework afterwards, after the session. Because the session, regardless, is 10% and 90% is the way you reprogram yourself, the way that that we train ourselves not to be 3D selves, but to be the 5D selves that we're meant to be. And at the end of the session, there's a channeling from your guidance. Not from me. I just channel your guidance at the end of the day to see, how to gear you towards your purpose. And the second main type is the past lifetime regression session. We go back and we address the core beliefs, the big wounds, we clear them, we replace them with new energy, and we try to apply all that change to today in your life. I do offer time to time, depending. I try to cater to whatever people need with the modalities and the tools that I have at my disposal. I've helped some people also to integrate their own businesses within the 5D construct. If they want to do businesses that are not necessarily what you and I are doing, if like I don't know, like an electrician or a plumber, all these things are still necessities. But how to have a business and live by 5D, by the 5D construct of time and of our new lives, and workshops. I basically want to hear what the person needs, and I try to my best, my utmost, in order to help them. And in regards to that, it's I've had few people come and want to get on their purpose path. I give them the feedback, and as I said before, it's about self-empowerment. So it's really in my interest to empower the person and release them. I have no desire for dependencies from themselves on other people. I think that's the biggest problem we've had so far with religion, government, interest groups, and so on. When you get that email that someone has started to do their own thing and it's successful, it's the best feeling in the world, honestly.
No, I can understand that.
It's a good thing. And this is meaning, like, if I said dramatically once, I said to a friend, I said, if I go today, I don't care, because I know that I've been able to help someone who will help someone who will help someone who will help someone. That's a meaning right there. It's not about making money. It's not about business, or I don't know what people are interested in the 3D constructs. No, you actually had a moment of meaning in your life is much more valuable than a life lived only for yourself or for material gain, which is completely useless to us as humans. So it's a very rewarding journey, and I'm thankful to be doing this, very honest.
Me too. Yeah, I'm totally honored to be doing what I'm doing now. So is the best way for people to get a hold of you is through maybe the website contact page, or do you want to give out
you can just I have a very simple email. It's indigolight2222@gmail.com. That's the way I communicate with most people. There's the contact page on the website and all these things is just going to be the same.
Oh, okay.
And there's a Facebook page. It's the Indigo Light Facebook page.
Okay.
I don't remember the specific URL, but you can also send a message to the Facebook page. So that's the easiest way to get in contact. YouTube doesn't have a messaging, obviously, not anymore. As well. And I do have a Skype open. I do my sessions on Skype for the time being, and because I'm just moving around until I settle down in my new home. And then I'll start, doing workshops in person and one-on-one sessions with people.
Awesome. Yeah, I do have your link to Facebook down below too. It's also facebook.com indigolight2222, same as your email.
Yeah.
All right. Like, well, man, it's really been a pleasure having you on here.
Same with you, Shane.
Yeah,
it's been a pleasure. I like this format as well. This is not, it's nice.
Yeah, it's laid back. I try to keep it laid back where people feel comfortable coming on and just chatting, and and people are in the chat room chatting with each other, and it's like just a big happy get together.
I'm going to check that out in a bit. No, it's nice also to drop the formalities in terms of what we're doing. I think the world has become very formal, and we're just people at the end of the day, and people talk, people eat, people drink, people sleep. So I thought this was a cool format. That's why I wanted to do it from the start. And you're a very cool guy, very laid back. It makes the other person feel welcomed as well. So thank you for that. I did enjoy this. This was fun.
Well, 100%. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, lots of love and light to everybody in the chat.
You too.
And we'll have you back on this sometime in the future, and maybe on the next webinar.
I hope so.
All right.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Bye-bye, everyone.
Cheers. Bye, everyone. Bye, Shane.
Bye-bye.
If you'd like to support the work I do, go to paypal.me/UOTF. Thanks.